Hello, darling heart, and welcome to the Drink Less, Live Better podcast. This is the podcast that helps you to see that drinking less doesn't need to be stressful, lonely, or boring. I'm your host, Sarah Williamson, and I decided to have a year alcohol-free as a little life experiment and haven't looked back. With my experience and training, I now help other women with their alcohol-free or drink less adventures. I'm here to tell you that you can be truly joyful without alcohol in your life. Join me here each week to find out how. Today, I'd like to tell you a story about how I find myself making my life more complicated than it needs to be. I used to love a to-do list. I had no structured way of keeping all my tasks in one place, but I tried to keep on top of where the heck I was with frantic list writing, keeping, doing, and ticking. A couple of years ago, I was working multiple part-time jobs. One job took up the majority of my time, and I also had a small part-time contract and 4 freelance jobs. Why? Well, people kept asking me, and I didn't like saying no. It served its purpose at the time. I liked the money and I liked being busy. Oh, the joy of being busy, I thought. I wore it like a badge of honour, as many people do. That old saying, if you want something doing, ask a busy person. I used to think that was funny. Not anymore. I realised I was using busy as a way of keeping myself distracted, a way of not addressing the bits of my life that needed some time and attention spent on them. If I was busy crossing stuff off my list, then I couldn't possibly have the time or headspace to do anything else. Besides, if I had written, address Friday night collapsing on the sofa with a glass of 3 of wine on my list, that couldn't have been very neatly ticked off. It was a bit messy. It needed headspace. It needed thinking about. It needed discussing with people who might try and reassure me I didn't have a drinking problem. Or did I? Perhaps I was avoiding the issue and I needed to put a plan in place and just do it. I now know for sure that if I'm questioning, do I have a problem here? Then I almost certainly do. And that's all I need to know to get on and make a change. Of course, it could be about pretty much anything. Exercise, making the time to relax, eating well, for example. I was making everything a little bit complicated and I was cluttering my mind. I don't like physical clutter around me, and I don't like mental clutter either. Perhaps that was why I had to be a list keeper, so that the detail was out of my head and on paper. While I'm talking about pieces of paper, a quick mention. Have you heard of Eisenhower's matrix? I recommend you look it up. I was introduced to this productivity tool and it really helped me to prioritise the tasks that were important and urgent, and also to see that some tasks could be delegated or even eliminated. I do still suffer from allowing myself to get over busy from time to time, and the state of my desk is a really good indicator of my inner feelings. Once I've got my desk straight and prioritised my top 3 tasks for the day, I can move on much more easily. I was always guilty of thinking I could fit much more into my day than I realistically could, and it often left me feeling unaccomplished at the end of the working day. Another reason why I used to have a glass of wine. That feeling of overwhelm was real, and it needed taking down a peg or 2 at the end of the day. Anyway, making shizzle complicated, here is what I didn't need to have when I decided to try my alcohol-free experiment. Number 1, permission from anyone else. Number 2, additional items on my mental to-do list, i.e., I will also cut out sugar. Number 3, a set of commitments to other people I didn't want to fulfill. And here is what I did need. Belief in myself, 1 goal, and a diary with things in it that felt good and not at all overwhelming. In summary, don't make your mission to try an alcohol-free life experiment complicated. Keep it simple. Ask for help and support where you need it. Once I had my alcohol-free life experiment safely underway, I took the opportunity to begin to address other areas in my life that felt overwhelming, and I was able to streamline my headspace too. What a joy. I'm a work in progress like everyone else, but I now really do feel like I'm a human being and not a human doing. Thank you for listening to this episode. Please listen in again next time. You can sign up to my 5-day Drink Less experiment and find out about working with me one-to-one at drinklesslivebetter.com. I'd love it if you could 5-star rate and review this podcast. It'd be good karma, you know. Thank you, and P.S. I believe in you.